welcome back to Wholehearted Homemaking. My name is Heather, and today I wanted to share with you about creating your own first grade curriculum. Now, a few weeks ago on the blog, I did share how to create your own Charlotte Mason style curriculum for anyone, and I share some free printable forms that are editable, I believe. If not, reach out to me and let me know. But basically, I'm going to walk you through those steps because some were a little confused about how it actually looks like. And so today I'm going to give you an example with my first grade student. Now, keep in mind, we're doing it for one student only today. If you have more than one student, it does look a little bit different, and I will touch on that in my forthcoming videos on my other grade levels. But today we're going to focus on one student, and I'm going to walk you through the steps, and then at the end of the video, I'm going to show you my specific curriculum choices for my first grader coming up next fall. All right, the first thing you're going to do is you want to list all the subjects you wish to study. Then you're going to decide on those focus areas of each subject. You know, what history, century, or focus will you have? What science are you going to focus on this year? Then you're going to mark down out of that list of studies, it's just a list of subjects, which ones are individual and which ones are family style. Again, you wouldn't need to do that if you don't have more than one child. Then you're going to have all your potential resources. Now, you may have actually started here, and that's okay. I always keep a list of documents either on my phone or on the computer or on Post-its randomly placed around the house of things I see on Instagram, on blogs, and in our local library. And so I have my list of resources, and I have my list of subjects. Next thing I need to do is borrow, pre-read, and research all those resources. Then once I've figured out, okay, I like this one, but not that one, I'm ready to choose specific titles or resources for each subject. So I'm going to take that same list I have and just put what resource it is for each one. You may have to do that for a whole year, or you may need to do it per term. Then you are going to start deciding, am I going to schedule? Am I going to loop? How am I going to bring these about? Now, you could do this last if that is what you need to do, and sometimes that's where I am. And what you're going to do is then do step number 8. Begin to place each title and resource per subject into your annual planner. That's that grid that I share with you where it has a subject and it has term 1, term 2, term 3, and you're going to put each resource in those places. And then the last thing you do is start pacing. Now, the reason you may switch number 7 and 8 is that you may want to figure out your schedule first to see how much time you have, because you may realize you don't have enough time for all those subjects. However, you may like to do number 8 because then you have kind of an idea and then you can figure out your scheduling. I've gone back and forth. It just depends on the year. And the last thing you're going to do is figure out your pacing for each resource or title by term. And that basically is, now I have my annual grid and I have what we're doing for each term. Now I'm going to look for each term or each semester. And so I'm going to say, we're reading this book. We have 12 weeks. How many chapters do we need to read for that? Or do I need to pace this book out for the whole year or 2 terms or however it needs to be? And so we're going to start putting those into our weekly grids. And we follow kind of an Ambleside online style grid to create that. And you can see that in my previous post. Okay, so this is all in my 3-part curriculum series, Design Your Own Curriculum series, and I do walk through it again in my grade 1 post that goes up today. Now I'm going to kind of walk you through that. So I don't have with me, because I just type it up, but a list of subjects. And that's really, I mean, you use a Post-it, use a piece of paper, you're going to list every subject. So I want Bible, and I want history, and I want, well, not dictation because she's not there. Sorry, I was looking at my other ones. I'm going to have geography. I'm going to have literature. I'm going to have poetry, Shakespeare. It's literally what I said, a list of subjects. Then I went through and I highlighted or marked somehow which ones I'm doing for family and which ones are her individual studies, because that kind of helps my brain wrap it around there. And then now I have my list of resources. So those are subjects, and I kind of have that in my mind now that I've been doing it for a few years as I go into each year. So I kind of knew what to expect. So I actually do step 4 first, if that makes sense. But we're taking that list of resources, and I just have our Cooper Nest has a beautiful planner, which I love using, and I will be sharing about that in an upcoming video as well. And it has just a list of materials that you can fill in, and I just kind of write things in there as need be. I also keep a document on my phone or a file that I list any potential materials that I might be using for our upcoming years and subjects. And so now after that, I'm going to start getting things from the library, borrowing from friends and things like that. So I have a stack of books. I actually went to the library this morning. I'm going to grab that and show you. So now I'm going to go and start borrowing and looking at other people's resources, if I have friends that I can borrow from, library, or just researching online best what I want to do. And so an example of that would be, I know I want to read Pinocchio again with my daughter, but I'm not a huge fan of our copy. We actually had a Reader's Digest version. We read with my first child I read it with. I didn't love it. It was falling apart. It wasn't great. So I got this version. It's not bad. It's not a bad version, but I just didn't love it. I really wanted the story to come alive for this kid because she loves imagination. So I went to the library and I found a really cute little picture book. And I'm like, oh, well, that would be maybe a fun introduction. But then I found this beautiful copy, and I'm almost hesitant to tell you so you don't go out and buy it because I haven't purchased it yet. But this has just beautiful illustrations. The chapters are very short, but it has some gorgeous illustrations. So what I did, I went to the library, I gathered my resources, and now I'm choosing. So I do that for several different topics, and I have a giant list. Oh my goodness, you should see my history list. And I mark out ones. I'm like, nope, definitely not that one. Put a question mark next to some. Yes, maybe this one. And so I weed through them, and then I slowly start to narrow that down so that I have whatever amount I need for each subject, whether that's like for science, we do a biography per term. So I have a biography per each term. So I know I need 3 biographies. Whereas Pinocchio is for a term. So I know I need 3 literature things. Whereas our history book, This Country of Ours, we're going to use for the whole year. So I'm going to have only just that 1 or 2 there. So now I've chosen my specific titles, and the next thing I need to do is decide, am I going to schedule this? Am I going to loop this? And I will be honest, I don't know. Usually we have done looping in the past, and that worked wonderful in our first few years. It didn't work so well the more busy our schedule got. We are a full-time ministry family, and our time is not always our own. And so I had to get a little more specific. I'm also a chase the butterflies girl, so I needed to be more specific for myself. So I started doing scheduling, and I've done that in the past. But right now, as I look at all of my kids, because I will have 5 learners, I don't know how to fit all the hours in the day. And so I'm still working on that. So you can do that first, and that has worked wonderful for me in the past. So that way I say, okay, I'm going to do this. Here's my schedule. We're going to have morning time, and we have an hour for morning time. Here's what I can plug and chug in there. I can't do that this year. It's not working out that way. So what I've done instead is switched and gone to the other one where I have began to find a title for each resource and subject. And so I have just a grid, and now this will look a little different than the one that I have on there because I think I did my 8th graders example on the blog post, but this is the one I've created for my first year. This is my 5th child that's in 1st grade, my 4th time teaching her. My oldest went to school. That's another story. But I have the subjects listed. Then I have our family studies, because some of these subjects we will do family style. And then I have her studies right there. And so that's how I have it listed out. And I don't know if you can see here. So like we have, for citizenship, we're all going to be talking about the U.S. citizenship test and doing a couple questions each week. Artists, these are all together. So I just kind of blocked it over, okay? The grid forming is all your own, right? Whereas over here for math, she's going to do that all by herself. So I have just that text. Let me see if I can find the right one. Nature lore, she has 2 because she's going to have Burgess Birds cover 2 terms, and James Harriet will cover 2 terms. And then, let's see, I'm trying to find one that has 3. And then right here for literature, she has 3 because we have 3 chapter books that we're going to read. Peter Pan for the 1st term, Pippi Longstocking for 2nd term, and Pinocchio for the 3rd term. And they are all starting with P for some reason. But that's how I do that. So I have it for the whole year. Those are her focuses. Does that mean I might change? I'm never going to change this? No, I very well probably will end up changing things midway through the year. But I like to have kind of an outlook of this is what we have for the whole year, and then try to figure out how to get it in my schedule. And I'm still working on that, like I said. The next step, once I figure out our schedule now, would be to start pacing that out by each term. And so I don't have an example. Okay, so I grabbed this. This is my year 3 students, so it does look different. And you'll notice there are only 6 here because we've done Sabbath schooling, and so this is what works for us. We are changing that next year. And so I may do like Ambleside and put all 12 weeks on there, but that would be some really tiny print, so I don't know. regardless. So what it is, you see, you'll have the book, title of the book, and then you'll have what the reading is for each week. So some of them it says like specifically here, Luke 1, Luke 2, Luke 3, Luke 4, and the other ones just say like a chapter a week. Some of them don't have chapter numbers, and so it's just you say read a chapter that week. And so this is the pacing part. And I will do that I only do a term at a time. Some people like to do it for the whole year, but because I reevaluate every time we have exams, which is every 12 weeks, I only do it for a term and then see where we're at and then move on. Because we may get behind in a book, it helps me to do that way. But that is the last step of planning your own curriculum. And I hope that that was clear. It is a lot of steps, especially the more learners you have. And it is easier to just buy a box curriculum where they've done all this for you. However, I am trying to meet each of my children at their individual levels, their specific interests and needs. And this is what works for our family. It does take a lot of time and effort, and it's not always a joy. Mostly it is, but it's not always, and it's just what works for us. I like creating our own curriculum because I can tailor it to that child. If you need book suggestions, by all means, reach out to me or look at other book lists. That's where I gather my materials and resources and get ideas. That's why right now my history list is a mile long for my older kids, because I haven't done the weeding out yet. But you can get so many good ideas from these wonderful places, whereas you don't have to use them fully as they are written. All right, so now the part that you have all been waiting for, what am I actually using for my first grader? All right, so I'm going to go subject by subject. I'm going to try to go fast because I know your time is valuable. First thing is Bible. We do our koinonia, which I have a video about if you're interested in, where we do our morning time where we do hymns, scripture memory, Bible time together, Christian reading, and all of that in the morning. But then I do have something for each of my kids to dive into Bible truths on their own. And in grade 1, she's not reading yet, so I will be doing all of that with her. Frankly, at 6 years old, even if she was reading fluently, I would still be reading with her because I want to be that guiding force and help her to set up proper habits in her learning style. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to continue reading the Biggest Story Bible storybook. We really like it. She likes it. The pictures are different. My husband is really not a fan. He finds them creepy, and that's okay. But because it does explain the gospel very clearly, he said we can continue reading it, which is good. It is just fun. It does have a curriculum if you're interested. We like to just read the stories. That's what we're using for Bible. Then we are also doing some church history. We're going to be doing Peril and Peace. My other kids, I did Trial and Triumph, and it is great. It's a lovely book, and I hope to get to that next. But I thought I'd start out, this is a little more gentle. It's hard to be gentle with the early church. Let's just be honest. And so we're going to give this one a shot this time around. It has some short stories about various people in the church history sometimes. And then once a week, we'll be doing the Good Gospel. Now, this is... I'm actually going to be doing it with her and her younger sister, and if the boy wants to, who knows, he's 2, or he will be 2 when we go through it. And so we will be using parts of it. It does not use our preferred version of the Bible, and so that's kind of why I keep putting it off, because some of the materials I can't use. But it has like a letter a week, which I know both of my kids will love. She already knows her letters. She knows their sounds. We're still working on reading, but I thought it's just kind of a fun review, and we can do some letter-focused topics. It has all these different activities, and so we'll do that once a week. So that's Bible. Next up would be language arts. And language arts, a lot of what I do with my bigger kids, she's not doing. We'll be doing foreign language together, and we will be doing, she won't be doing dictation, spelling, she won't be doing grammar. None of that will happen until she's older. The one thing that we will be doing during this time is literature and language and poetry and Shakespeare. So for poetry, we will be reading through A.A. Milne's poetry. We have several of the books. We also have, and I don't have it with me because my kids are using it, but the A Garden of Verses by Robert Louis Stevenson, and then just for fun, Shel Silverstein. She's familiar with a lot of these poems and a lot of nursery rhymes, but we'll be going through them anyway, just as repeat because she loves poetry, and that'll be fun. And then we also will be doing Shakespeare. We'll be doing Lamb Shakespeare. And we will be reading along with her sisters for next year. And there's a few, I don't remember. So we're going to be doing Julius Caesar, which I don't think is in here as a family. So I'll be just choosing a different story to read with her, probably Midsummer Night's Dream. That's where we generally start. And then we're going to be doing Twelfth Night with the big kids. So we'll do that. And if time allows, we'll do Othello, which is also in here. So she'll read those at least with us. You can see I've kind of marked on there like what Amazon Online does it, and then I put what years I thought was with it, and then over here I've been writing down which ones, which plays we do each year, so that I can remember as we cycle through. But she'll enjoy that. We use peg dolls to help tell the story, and they actually enjoy it and get along with it really well. Another thing we'll be doing is reading through all the Beatrix Potter books. These are by far not all of them. And we'll just do that once a week, read a Beatrix Potter book. And she already is familiar with stories because these are just like kids can't not pick them up. They love them. They're so little and fun. But I've done it with all my kids during grade 1, read through all of Beatrix Potter stories, and we enjoy that. Some of them are a little bit longer, so it's going to take more than a week. So like Pigling, what is this? Little Pig Robinson, not Pigling Bland. But Pigling Bland's also longer. But those will take more than 1 week. Whereas The Fierce Bad Rabbit, you can read very quickly. It's one of our particular favorites. So we'll read through those, and those are always fun. And that's part of our literature. I'm trying to think here. Oh, and then she has a chapter book that we will read together each term. And so I've already talked to you that we will be doing Pinocchio. I think we will be ending with Pinocchio. And so that's that. Then we will be doing Pippi Longstocking in the middle. I actually detest this story, but she is a silly, fun, imaginative girl, my daughter. So I know she will love this book. So I'm going to read it with her and just suck it up for myself. But we're going to start with Peter Pan. I feel like it's a good classic to start with. I've only read it, I think, with one of my kids because some of my kids I knew it wasn't going to hit with them the way that I really wanted to. And so this girl loves imagination. She's so fun and creative. I think she will enjoy this. I don't know that I'm going to get, this is a library version. I don't have a printed version that I like. So I'm going to have to find one. If you have a printed version that you like, let me know. So that's literature. Also fables. We'll be doing a fable a week. We have random amount of books I share on the blog. Our favorite is the Gio Fujikawa illustrations, but there are so many, and she gets to pick and we'll read through them. I'm not being a stickler about that one. And then also for language arts, I talk about this in my sight words video. This is what we are using for phonics learning. A short lesson every day-ish. I think 3 times a week is what I'm aiming for. It's very cut and dry. I know a lot of people don't like that. I love it. It's a quick and easy way to learn to read and effective. I've used it with all of my kids. So, like I said, see the other video if you want more. We also read Bob books, Pathway Readers, and there's some other reader that we use. But I have all that linked in the blog, and we'll use that as she progresses through her reading capabilities. Next up is math, and this is the Charlotte Mason Elementary Arithmetic Series. I have used this particular book with 4 of my children now, and it just is a wonderful way. Rochelle, I don't remember how to say her name. I'm sorry, Rochelle. But this is such a wonderful book. It's a great way to get started, in a gentle way to get started in math. It is teacher intensive. This is not one I can just give to my child and let them do math. If that's what you need, which all power to you, because that's what I do with my oldest. I just give her she uses something different. But this is teacher intensive, and so you do need to factor that in, that you will be sitting with your child to do this. They have some great materials, some things that you can give them, some little cards that you can give them so that they can work on their own if you need to walk away. It has just using your home materials, basically. But we have used it, and I can show you right here. This is just one that we really enjoy. You go through a very systematic way of learning. Here's the table of contents. It is different from traditional, so you have to wrap your brain around that. But this is wonderful for grade 1. And then we have sciences. Quite a stack here. Science, we focus on nature study and being outside and doing observations. So there will be a lot of going outside and just observing and nature journaling. She already is in a habit of nature journaling because she wanted to mimic her sisters. And so she will continue with that. But we do have a few things to focus For the first term and then half of the second term, we will be reading James Herriot's Treasury for Children. We absolutely love these books. My kids adore them. We have a couple of them in individuals. They have just such cute pictures, great stories. Yeah, I should do the wrinkled page. But my kids enjoy them and they're fun. Then after we finish that, we will dive into Burgess Bird book. I don't think we've ever read the whole book. We have done this several times. We have there's free coloring pages online. There's ones you can get, units. We just read through it and they color it. We did have the original Living Book Press version, but then they made these beautiful hardback with color pictures and we definitely upgraded and it was worth every penny. It's the original text, but it just includes actual pictures, which is wonderful. You can also look up their bird calls and things like that to help with it. We'll watch maybe a YouTube video or listen to a bird call for each one we read. I sometimes grab a coloring page for it while I read. Sometimes I don't. It just depends on the kid. But we will go through that and just do one a week after we finish Harriet. Then also, like I said, we do biographies. So all my big kids have a biography per term. We're going to do the same thing. We're always reading picture book biographies. We love them, but I have 3 picked out for my grade 1 student. I don't have any of the books. These are what I could get from the library. The first one we're going to do is the new one about Anna Bradford Comstock or Comstock Bradford. I don't know. I will link it, or it is linked in my blog post. But that will be the first one we do, and that's the person who wrote the Handbook of Nature Studies. And so it's a fun, cute book. I love it. I just haven't purchased it yet. We'll also be doing Beatrix Potter, Scientist. I found this at my local library. It's a very short book, but it talks about her and really talking about how she really is a scientist. And because we're reading the Beatrix Potter books, it's great to see how she's an artist, she's a writer, she's a scientist. My particular child going in grade 1 says she wants to grow up to be an adventurer, nature artist. So Beatrix Potter is right up her alley. And then also we're going to read, because we're reading Burgess Boats, we're going to read The Boy Who Drew Birds, the story of John James Audubon. And so we will be reading this book, and I still have to purchase it, but again, it's a good little picture book biography. I will have other biographies as we pull them from the library just for fun, but those are the 3, and they will only take 1 or 2 sittings. They're not very long, but that will be kind of the person we read about that each term. All right, what's next? And then we have history. So this is getting towards the end of my book stack for individual studies, okay? We will do biography picture books like Abraham Lincoln and one about Meriwether and Lewis and Sacagawea. I haven't figured out all of them. I will just grab those from the library as the time comes. So I don't have all those, but I hope to get you a list soon. But our spines will be 50 famous stories retold. These are just fun. They're very kind of focused mostly on ancient stories. Yeah, mostly ancient, if I'm remembering right. Kind of older history anyways. They're just kind of those stories that everybody used to know. And my kids have all loved this book and enjoyed it. And so we're going to do that just 1 story a week. They're very short. Here you can see Horatius in the bridge where he stands when nobody else would stand. And that's it, 3 pages. She will also be listening in on our family reads of This Country of Ours. She'll just pick up wherever we are. And the same with the American Story. We're doing 19th century history. So we will just start right there. And she'll just learn along with us in the rotation. So that is history for her. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. We will have some other studies as well that she will be doing, but they will be part of our morning time or family studies. And so I'm not going to share those right now because I don't have all those materials. But that is our glimpse into our first grade. We have Bible, we have math, literature, language arts, and science and history are kind of the things she does on her own. Other things that I don't have for you to see are piano. She does that once a week lessons and then practices daily except for Sundays for about 15-20 minutes. She will also be learning handbells. She does this on her own. I have a book. She's very musical and it's a color-coded thing, so she's already practiced with that a little bit. So she'll do that each week. And then the other things that are just, doing her nature notebook or her handicraft, which we're going to try to do finger knitting. Those are the only other things that are really individual. But as I said, I have all of this written out for you in my blog post, which I will link in the description box below. I hope this gives you an insight into how to plan a Charlotte Mason style curriculum and also give you some inspiration for grade 1 and specific materials to use. So if you have any questions about creating your own curriculum or first grade in particular, please let me know. Leave a comment in the description box, send me an email, or reach out to me over on Instagram, and I would love to talk to you about that. All right, have a great day, and thank you so much for watching. Let us go forth and strive to serve the Lord and our families wholeheartedly.